Hello everybody, so this is going to be a relatively quick video where I just reflect a little bit on the US election, which I was very interested in because I've always been interested in politics in general and US politics and the elections since I've been old enough to understand them. And obviously I always vote in my own elections in this country, in the UK, and I don't normally enjoy it because you're pretty much always voting for someone that is the lesser of the evils, if you like. So the process of voting is absolutely essential to a democracy, and it's something that I very passionately believe in, and it's something that was up for debate in the campaign recently. So we'll see how that pans out now that we've had the election result in America. But I just thought I'd bounce off this article that I found that was posted early yesterday, before the results came through, by the BBC. So I'll just read bits of it and then I'll just talk about, I guess, my hopes for what's going to happen, because it's such a strange situation that we're faced with. So anyway, never in recent US political history has the outcome of a presidential election been in so much doubt. This is not a contest for the faint of heart. While past elections have been narrowly decided, George W. Bush's 2000 victory over Al Gore came down to a few hundred votes in Florida. There's always been some sense of which direction the race was tilting in the final days. Sometimes, as in 2016, the sense is wrong. In that year, polls overestimated Hillary Clinton's strength and failed to detect a late breaking movement in Donald Trump's favor. This time around, however, the arrows are all pointing in different directions. No one can seriously make a prediction either way. Which is why I think if it had been the other way around and Harris and Walz had won, the Trump supporters would have been shocked as well, because both sides expected to win, I think. Most of the final polls are well within the margin of error, both nationally and in the 7 key battleground states that will decide the election. Based on statistics and sample sizes alone, that means either candidate could be ahead. It is this uncertainty that vexes political pundits and campaign strategists alike. There have been a smattering of surprises, not least one notable example, a recent respected survey of Republican-leaning Iowa giving Harris a shock lead. But the major polling averages and the forecasting models that interpret them all show that this is a coin toss contest. Okay, so that obviously makes it quite an unusual election in that sense. But I just wanted to talk about some of the issues that were being voted on, if you like. So there could also be some surprises among key demographic groups. Will Trump really make the inroads with young Black and Latino men that his campaign has predicted? Is Harris winning over a larger proportion of traditionally Republican suburban women, as her team is hoping? And are elderly voters who reliably vote every election and tend to lean to the right moving into the Democratic column? Once this election is in the rearview mirror, we may be able to conclusively point to a reason why the winning candidate came out on top. Perhaps in hindsight, the answer will be obvious, but anyone who says they know how things will turn out right now is fooling you and themselves. So you've got some hints there at some of the issues. You've got race being something that Trump has tried to take on board with some kind of prediction that he's going to win over young Black and Latino men, which clearly he has, and Harris winning over a large proportion of traditionally Republican suburban women. So there was a lot in her campaign about women's rights, but a lot of Republican women don't see them as women's rights anyway, from what I gather. So I don't know if that's necessarily a sort of reliable thing to sort of see as a turning point anyway. And elderly voters who reliably vote every election tend to lean to the right, moving into the Democratic column. I mean, the thing about this election that I think has just been so weird is Trump is not a normal politician, and he's a maverick. He's a populist character, which is why he's popular. Same as Nigel Farage over here. He's also a kind of a threat to normality because he's such a maverick. He's whipped up a storm in this country and he's created a racial divide that wasn't there before, and a distrust of Europe and all sorts of different things. He's made people believe in this country we're not in Europe anymore, which is insane, because geographically we are still in Europe, but we left the European Union. But anyway, that's down to the IQ of the people that are talking about the EU. But and how people are educated on geography, I guess. But anyway, we have a character like that in our political landscape, and Farage is very publicly supporting Trump as well. Anyway, so he's on the winning side at the moment. But Trump is a maverick, and he has been saying some very bizarre things in the campaign. He's been talking about not needing to vote again, and saying that he'll create world peace by making deals with the people that are at war, which clearly is going to be forcing someone's hand to capitulate. So God knows what his approach to Ukraine or the Palestinians is going to be. I can't imagine it's going to be a good deal for them. So I do think that those kind of things, you've got lots of, I've noticed recently today, this morning and last night, lots of Republican Trump supporters being all excited about world peace, and it's like, this world peace is not going to be sort of miraculous solution. This is going to be, well, we'll see, but I imagine it's not going to be good. So I don't think he's a peace broker, but I think he's someone who likes to sort of have favour with strong leaders, and will be one of those strong leaders. And we'll I don't think it's particularly positive what the impression is I'm getting out of that. There is a massive cultural war happening, and it seems to be as well. I've been noticing comments online where people are sort of saying the woke word again, and it seems to be that was a big thing that was on Trump's side as well. And that seems to be like a 50-50 thing, I think, from what I gathered. It doesn't seem to be that most Americans are fed up with the woke thing, or that most Americans are sort of left-leaning, trans-friendly, human rights supporters or whatever. There doesn't seem to be a very clear opinion with that. So that clearly did play into the political landscape this time as well. But I don't know, the way I feel about it now, it was a shock. I was hoping, because I'll just say actually that I don't normally enjoy watching American politics and American politicians, because I am way more left than almost everyone I see up on the platforms. I really liked Bernie Sanders, and I liked when it looked like, people like Obama and Hillary Clinton, people like that who are potentially about to be in office, or with Obama was in office. Sometimes their speeches have been great. Kamala Harris's speeches were fantastic, I thought, and Tim Walz's speeches were fantastic, and actually sounded very, very liberal. And it was a sort of stuff that you don't hear very often by American politicians, which was great. So that was really nice to see. Clearly, it would have turned off some right-wing people and some of the sort of people who lean to the right in the Republican Party. But that was a moment where, Biden's first presidential debate was horrific. So him stepping down was much needed, and there was this swell of optimism and really positive stuff in their speeches, and clear, articulate politics in their speeches. You don't really get politics in Trump's speeches. You get lots about him. You get lots of rambling about anecdotes about someone he knows, or some meeting he had with someone that just goes on forever and doesn't really have a point. But his supporters will massively applaud those ramblings because they think it's somehow charismatic. And he'll make threats and he'll make big statements that would make his supporters go, fantastic, and make everyone else say, what did he just say? So, you know, watching the Kamala Harris and Tim Walz speeches and some of the other senators that are on that side doing their speeches during the campaign was so good. It was so nice to enjoy listening to American politicians again. But sadly, for me, it wasn't the outcome I was looking for. But I just hope that he doesn't allow Putin to just do whatever he wants. That's my biggest fear, really. The whole cultural wars with the progressive people against the anti-woke people, I think that's just going to carry on anyway. So that's just something that seems to be embedded in that country and this country to some degree as well. There could be a bigger racial divide. There could be race riots. I don't know. I really hope there isn't, but it could be. No idea what he's going to do in domestic policy because he just rambled a lot. There's some of his supporters I saw saying, "Oh, you know, he's going to make the country wealthier and safer," and it was just these big words where I couldn't see the policies behind this sort of idea anyway. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. But I do think that the problem with politics nowadays is that truth is now subjective, which is really scary. And he's fostered that idea really well. And there's a couple of other kind of populist characters that have done the same thing. And nobody believes anything if it doesn't agree with their ideology anymore. So discussion is really difficult now. Debate is really difficult. Political discourse is much more antagonistic, and because facts are so hard to use in political debate. That's what is really holding everything back, and ultimately, I'm sure I'm going to get loads of Trump supporters in my comments, and I'd love to know some specific things that could make me relieved or a little bit more happy about the result. If you can tell me something that he's going to do that is a good thing, that'd be awesome. But he, from what I can see, and what I hear about a lot, that seems to be true, that he's all about himself, and he all this stuff about making America wealthier and safer, and just seems to be just fear of immigrants and making the sort of rich richer and the poor poorer. It seems, because he's hugely invested in capitalism, and he's been, his entire life has been built on that, and that system doesn't work. So when Obama was trying to create something closer to a national health service, it was so nice to see it, because so many Americans I know wish they had a better health service. And if he strips that back, that'd be awful for the Americans. So, I do feel for them for their health service, because there are lots of countries that have a national health service, not just our NHS. There's loads of countries that have one. And it's just common sense. You put your taxes in and you get a health service. It's just common sense. But America is built on merit, that you earn the right to get your medical treatment. So that's the barrier to a national health service. I get that, but I don't know. We'll see what happens. But yeah, if you are watching this and you vote for him, or you absolutely passionately believe in what he says, then please say in the comments something specific that I might be able to say, oh, okay, I get that, because that'd be great. Because at the moment, I absolutely don't get it.